Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on? Trying to make a makeshift tripod.
Is his on?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Jared's here too.
Hi, Dad.
There you go. You know, it's funny. I was looking through old notes before this call, and this is what it said. It said, movie idea. I heard somewhere at some point that the human brain doesn't develop long-term memory until about 3 or 4 years old. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I definitely believe it. I can't remember anything before 5 years old, and I barely remember the last time I was here. That's why we can't remember our first words, our first steps, and that's why you won't remember this trip, like a dream. And I think was really the catalyst of this whole project.
Well, it's when you're sleeping, you like have dreams, and sometimes when I have dreams, I have like pictures on my wall.
So I was like, well, if this is gonna be like this weird dream-like experience that he never had, I might as well film the whole trip like that. I did a couple tests before the trip actually happened where I wanted to kind of shoot through glass.
It's like all soft.
Yeah, and it just makes it like
intense when the light's in front of you too, right?
Yeah, because if you go away, it kind of diffuses it. So I went to a local thrift store and I bought a bunch of random pieces of glass. I found a prism, I found an old pair of eyeglasses, and I clipped the lens hood onto the front of the lens and then ended up taping random pieces of glass on the inside of the lens hood. And the reason I wanted to do that was because I knew that if you filmed through different pieces of glass, it created this kind of ethereal, dream-like vibe to everything you're filming. And I kind of fell in love with the concept and the idea. So I packed it all up and took it on my trip to Hawaii with me.
We now invite families traveling with children aged 2 and under
Get bored. Here we
to San
go.
Francisco.
I was trying to create this philosophical script that was describing what it must be like for a child to experience a trip like this. Mm-hmm. But it was very much from my own perspective. And then it wasn't until about a year later where I had another kind of idea pop into my head that I ended up jotting down into my notes. Thought of this idea and I was like, really what should happen is I should flip it. It shouldn't be coming from me at all. It should be coming from Ollie.
Like when I was a baby, I had dreams about when I was playing in Hawaii and I was like hanging out with Mama when I was 1.
At that point, I just got really excited. I was like, this could be a really cool video if he was actually the narrator of his own story.
I have dreams that I'm surfing on my bed.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
We did a bunch of tests, and I believe he was 18 months old at that point, and I think we realized right away that it was possible, but I knew it was going to be a huge challenge to actually pull it off.
What we're gonna do is sit here. Oh, here's your water. Did you get thirsty?
You want some water?
Nice.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about... Hey, Ollie, where did we go yesterday? Did we feed the fish? And can you tell me about that? I went and met up with my father, and he helped me modify a nightstand to be able to put a camera inside of it. We just cut a hole in the back, put a piece of glass in front of the hole, and then ended up drilling a hole up to the drawer so I could slide the camera in the back, run a SDI cable up, and have a little monitor in the drawer above.
I was working with cutting a hole in the nightstand and was somewhat shocked to discover when Dana came back to pick it up that it was actually quite expensive. And if I had known what the camera was worth, I probably wouldn't have been able to do the project. I would have been afraid to touch it.
That's how I was able to record him with a high quality camera, hidden camera style.
Oh, gentle.
We basically, every night, we would put him in the same pajamas. And so when he woke up in the morning, that would be the first thing we'd do before I'd go into work, was sit him down, get the camera running, and keep recording him over and over, day after day, in the same outfit, in the same exact position. just so it looked like at the end of the day when we strung everything together, it looked like it was just one interview. You sit in your chair? You know, all the footage was getting brought back to the studio, and Jordan realized pretty quickly that it worked really well once his words actually sounded close to real words.
Well, I think it's really just that before we actually matched anything up, it felt so much more like gibberish. And I think actually connecting it to actual words with see and say, it gave Ollie like some intelligence that like he has a language all his own and is like trying to find a way to communicate with adults. So I think it just kind of, at least it sinks into the viewer's mind a little bit that this actually is Ollie's story.
And at the time of this project, we brought on a new team member, Jared, and we basically gave him free rein to experiment with sound design, and we actually challenged him to try to compose some music for this video.
So the whole process for me was to just play as much randomness as possible. I would sit down and hold out notes and sustain chords and later go in and piece the music into a beautiful shot of Hawaii. So there's this part in the film where Ollie is describing the ocean, and he's making this sound. And I remember thinking, you know, that'd be really cool if I replaced the ocean sound with thunder. And so a lot of the sound that you hear is thunder and wind. I thought that would be a really creative and interesting way to hear the ocean from the perspective of Ollie and how he feels the power of nature like that.
So we have this moment in the middle of the video, and it's sort of almost like a blooper in the middle of it. He gets up, throws a little basketball, reminds you that this is Ollie. This is a kid, and some fun can be had at any moment.
Do you remember, Ollie, when you were saying down the line like Jacques Cousteau?
Yeah, that was so funny.
Tell me what that was like. What do you remember? What'd you have to
So I remembered being in the video.
Okay, you feel better? So can you tell me a little bit more about the dream you had last night? And what did you see?
We sort of got the edit to a place where we were feeling really good about all of the lines that are happening, all the shots that are matched see and say style with each line. And then once the subtitles were created, I took them, put them on a black screen, and filmed them through a prism that was rotating. I also, I believe, had the titles fading in and fading out. And I also did maybe a little bit of a rack focus on some of them, and like used different angles of the prism at some points.
So it was really cool that as you were seeing his words appear on screen, they were just kind of like dissolving away the same way that a dream could kind of, you know, fade away. What are dreams?
There's something that you do at night.
Yeah, when?
When you're sleeping.
But where do they come from, though?
From your feet.
From your feet? That's interesting.